it's the 1970s. Or it's the 1990s. Either one. Anyway, time for the ritual of waking up and heading straight to the TV for Saturday morning cartoons. Of course, like all television, there's commercial breaks. You get your standard commercials in, and then this pops on.
As your body grows bigger,
Your mind must flower,
it's great to learn.
'Cause knowledge is power.
it's Schoolhouse Rock, the chip off the block of your favorite Schoolhouse Rock.
With its catchy tunes, gorgeous visuals, and educational content, Schoolhouse Rock easily cemented itself in pop culture and the minds of many. Let's flash back a few years to where it all began. A dude ranch. David McCall, owner of the McCaffrey and McCall advertising agency, was taking his family on a vacation to a dude ranch. Along the way, he noticed his son could sing along to every single Rolling Stones song on the radio. Despite this, his son, like many children, was struggling to memorize the multiplication tables. This is when the idea came to McCall. What if music could be used for educational purposes? Back at the business of McCaffrey and McCall pitched this idea to several members of the ad agency, and the idea was warmly received. Writers for jingles were tasked with writing the first song, but McCall didn't find anything that suited what he was looking for. As a result, George Newall, a creative director and jazz pianist, conducted a search for the right musician. Newall's hunt landed him with another jazz pianist, Bob Dorough. Bob Dorough was asked to write a song and, as a result, he composed the song 3 is a Magic Number, a song which focused on multiplying by 3. The reception at McCaffrey and McCall to the song was overwhelmingly positive. It was catchy, it taught math, and it even included some of the symbolism behind 3. It was just over 3 minutes too. Now came the real test. Did the song work? Would children like this song, and furthermore, learn their multiplication tables of 3? McCall happened to be on the board for the New York Bank Street College of Education and was able to get the songs playing in the school districts. The reception from students and teachers was just as positive as it was in the ad agency. The song also caught the attention of Tom Yohe, one of the art directors at the McCaffrey and McCall ad agency. He took the song and created a storyboard for an animated music video. This storyboard caught the eye of Radford Stone, the man who handled the advertising agency's accounts. As it would turn out, the American Broadcasting Company, or the ABC channel, was McCaffrey and McCall's biggest client. Stone was able to land a pitch meeting for McCall, Newall, Dorough, and Yohe, who met with the vice president for ABC's children programming, Michael Eisner. Yes, that Michael Eisner. Eisner wound up inviting famed cartoonist Chuck Jones into the meeting, Jones being the man responsible for the creation of several iconic Looney Tunes characters. The song was played accompanied by Yohe's storyboard and, upon conclusion, Jones quickly urged Eisner to buy the show. It was decided 3 is a Magic Number would work as an educational segment on Jones' current project, Curiosity Shop, a puppet-based show that was intended to rival Sesame Street. While new educational song shorts were created, 3 is a Magic Number debuted on Curiosity Shop on September 2nd, 1971. From there, the ad agency worked on more songs that could take up 3-minute ad breaks on ABC. Thus began Scholastic Rock, which was quickly changed to Schoolhouse Rock to prevent a lawsuit from the Scholastic Publishing Corporation. Already having number 3 down, it was decided the series would focus on the multiplication tables. George Newall and Tom Yohe stayed on board as executive producers and creative directors, and Bob Dorough stayed on to write all the songs and sung nearly all of them as well. The 3 songs Dorough didn't sing were handed to some of Dorrough's jazz buddies. I Got 6 and Naughty Number 9 were sung by Grady Tate, and Figure 8 was sung by Blossom Dearie. The first season debuted in January, February, and March of 1973, and it was a hit, featuring songs such as Lucky 7 Samson, My Hero Zero, and Little 12 Toes. After the success of Multiplication Rocks, the Schoolhouse Rock team knew this method of learning could apply to all sorts of subjects. It was time to assemble a team. Yohe and Newall became producers, as did Radford Stone. Bob Dorough would write most of the songs and perform a hefty chunk of them. George Newall also wrote quite a few songs. Newall also brought Lynn Ahrens from the copying department to the music team after hearing her play her guitar, which she did on her breaks. The first song Ahrens wrote was The Preamble, a song about the preamble to the United States Constitution. Aarons would write nearly as many songs as Doro, and, just like Doro, would perform many of the songs as well. Dave Frischberg was also another writer on the team, having roots in the music industry as a jazz pianist. Another notable member of the music team was Jack Sheldon. One of Doro's jazz buddies, Sheldon was a jazz trumpeter who would sing many of Schoolhouse Rock's most iconic songs, such as Conjunction Junction, I'm Just a Bill, and Energy Blues. Over the years, special singers would join in and sing a song as well, such as Zachary Sanders, Ezra Mohawk, Grady Tate, and even the Tokens, the band responsible for The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Several of the non-musical team members also had several cameos, as did their children. And financial backing was also secured thanks to sponsorships from General Foods, Nabisco, Kenner, Kellogg's, and McDonald's. A Schoolhouse Rock song would take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months to be written. The team had free reign over whatever topic they could write about. A topic was pitched, the song was written with an educational consultant or a professional in the field, and the song was then hand-animated. Animation was performed by either Phil Kimmelman and Associates or Kim and Gifford Productions and took several months. To cut down on work, often many of the frames were reused, which worked out well in animators' favor as it both cut down manual work and allowed them to charge more money for more frames. In terms of time constraints, there were no time constraints. The projects took as long as they needed. The result was a passionate team and a labor of love. And since the songs were written by an ad agency, each song was a hit in its own way. They were jingle writers, and jingles are supposed to be catchy after all. It was a perfect equation for the series. Season 2, Grammar Rock, covered the topic of grammar, namely the parts of speech, debuting in 1973 through 1974. Highlights include the most popular Schoolhouse Rock song, Conjunction Junction, as well as Lolly 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 Get Your Adverbs Here, Interjections, and Verb That's What's Happening. Verb is notable as this was the first time a black superhero was animated, debuting in 1974. Another song would be added to the Grammar Rock lineup in the midst of the release of the third season in 1975, Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla, which covered pronouns. The third season was released around 1975 and 1976. During this time, society's excitement was focused on America's bicentennial. So naturally, Schoolhouse Rock focused their new season on American history, as well as a bit of American government. America Rock, sometimes known as History Rock, despite the fact that only half of it covers history and it's all American history, featured songs such as Great American Melting Pot, Suffer Until Suffrage, The Preamble, and The Shot Heard Around the World. Those last two were used heavily in children's history classes, and it was quite common to hear the tunes hummed during tests. And not just children's tests. In fact, many immigrants seeking U.S. citizenship have been guided to America Rock as a crash course for the citizenship test. And of course, America Rock features the second most famous Schoolhouse Rock tune, I'm Just a Bill. The song covers the legislative process in the United States government. I'm Just a Bill became so popular that government agencies and lobbyists would request tapes of this song to show new recruits to explain how the legislation process works. The last of the America Rock songs, Three Ring Government, had its release delayed until 1979 due to fears that this song would offend politicians. The song compares the three branches of the United States government to a circus. One moment in particular involves all of Congress arriving to the circus in a small car, a behavior typically associated with clowns. ABC feared the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, as well as Congress would take offense to this and would refuse to renew their broadcasting license. In the end, the short was released and ABC remained intact. Season 4 covered the last of the general ed topics. Debuting in 1978 through 1979, several scientific topics were covered including space, the human body, and energy. 2 episodes, Telegraph Line and Electricity, feature objects lining up at a fast rate to show electricity. The result is a screen bound to cause seizures. There have been no recorded cases of seizures, but the probability of this event occurring is high. Thankfully, the most recent release of Electricity on Disney Plus have slowed down the flashing sequence tremendously. While the story suffers a tad bit due to the slow animation, it's a small price to pay for salvation. Telegraph Line has not had the flashing slowed, possibly because the entire screen is not flashed, only in a portion in the middle. Speaking of Telegraph Line, tapes of this episode were heavily requested by medical schools to explain the nervous system to first-year medical students. The final episode in this season, The Greatest Show on Earth, covers meteorology and was immediately pulled after it aired. As it turns out, the title was the slogan for the Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey Circus. It was also trademarked by the circus, meaning no one else could use it. It didn't help that Schoolhouse Rock included the traditional circus fanfare right after the phrase is said.
The greatest show, the greatest show. Yes, sir!
The circus hit Schoolhouse Rock with a lawsuit, which resulted in Schoolhouse Rock pulling the song and renaming it to The Weather Show. The episode reappeared on the 1987 VHS release of Schoolhouse Rock, as well as a bonus feature on the 2002 DVD release. A final season debuted in 1982 through 1984. During this time, computers were being introduced to the modern household. An ABC executive, Squire Rushnell, commissioned a series out of the idea that children were afraid of computers.
Technology!
As a result, Schoolhouse Rock created 4 episodes on computers. This season was the first to include reoccurring characters, those being Scooter Computer the human and Mr. Chips the sentient computer. Computers rapidly evolved during this time frame and, as a result, the episodes quickly became outdated. People also found the character names being confusing, as Scooter Computer was the human and not the sentient computer. There's so much confusion about this series that even the creators debate on the official names of 2 of the episodes. These factors resulted in the Computer Rock season getting pulled off the air quickly. Only one other reference to Scooter Computer and Mr. Chips exists. They wound up being the stars of a rare Schoolhouse Rock children's book, The Candy Store. Schoolhouse Rock stayed on the air until 1985, and the airtime was exchanged for ABC Fun Fit, a children's fitness show hosted by Olympic gold medalist gymnast Mary Lou Retton. As it turned out, Schoolhouse Rock was a big hit and was dearly missed. People from all over clamored for the return of the series. The original team was called frequently by people all around the country. College kids started petitions and traveled from campus to campus getting signatures. Eventually, the team and ABC obliged, and Schoolhouse Rock returned to the airwaves with all the original episodes, as well as a new season. 2 new Grammar Rocks episodes were added in 1993, those being Busy Prepositions and The Tale of Mr. Morton, focusing on prepositions and the subject and predicate of a sentence respectively. The new season, debuting between 1994 and 1996, was Money Rock. The focus was on economics and finances, and featured songs such as Dollars and Cents, Tyrannosaurus Debt, Taxman Max, and This for That. The 1990s was a big time for Schoolhouse Rock. Due to the popularity of the songs, many bands wanted to cover these songs in their own way. As a result, an official cover album, Schoolhouse Rock Rocks, was released in 1996 and featured rock covers and even a rap cover of popular Schoolhouse Rock songs performed by bands such as Pavement, Skee-Lo, Moby, Blind Melon, Buffalo Tom, and many more. Some of these songs even received music videos that would appear at the end of the Schoolhouse Rock VHSs as a bonus song. Speaking of which, Schoolhouse Rock made its way onto VHS in 1987 and thrived in the 1990s, making it all the more easier for families to enjoy Schoolhouse Rock in the comfort of their own homes. The first VHSs were produced without notifying the Schoolhouse Rock teams. Cloris Leachman was the host for video transitions between the songs and did some singing, as well as many kids. However, some songs, namely multiplication ones, didn't make it onto their respective VHSs. The creators were not very happy, so the Schoolhouse Rock team was included for the next VHSs in production. These VHSs, from the 90s, had an extended version of the Schoolhouse Rock theme song, in which the characters gather at the Conjunction Junction Diner for today's special, that being the songs which play on the diner's video jukebox. Each song was then introduced by Bob Duro. Of course, VHSs weren't the only media created for home. 3 CD-ROM games were created, designed so children could interact with the Schoolhouse Rock characters and earn even more knowledge. 1993 saw the debut of a Broadway show that used the Schoolhouse Rock songs. Schoolhouse Rock Live ran for many months and was adapted by schools everywhere. The show follows Tom, a school teacher who's not very confident in his skills. To help him out, his many facets jump out of his head and ensure him he can do it with the power of Schoolhouse Rock songs. The show was a major success. A sequel stage show was even made that followed Nina, the owner of a diner, who, with the help of Tom from the original show, the diner staff, and a restaurant regular, saved the diner from shutting down via the power of Schoolhouse Rock. Spoiler alert, they themed the restaurant to Schoolhouse Rock and call it the Conjunction Junction Diner, a callback to the VHS intros. A big change happened in 1996. ABC, the owner of Schoolhouse Rock, saw a big shift in entertainment as ABC was acquired by the Walt Disney Company. Coincidentally, the CEO for Disney at this time was Michael Eisner, the man who bought Schoolhouse Rock for ABC. Since Eisner clearly had shifted away from vice president of children's programming, and Disney bought the company, New higher-ups were put into place over time, and new higher-ups always want to make changes. Thankfully, Schoolhouse Rock was one of the few children's series to stay on the ABC airwaves as a shift in the channel's content occurred. However, Schoolhouse Rock did eventually phase off the air in 2000. New episodes weren't produced until 2002, designed exclusively for the 30th anniversary DVD. The first of these, I'm Gonna Send Your Vote to College, focused on the Electoral College, and the second, Presidential Minute, the Campaign Trail, could only be unlocked on the second disc after completing the Earn Your Diploma game. This episode focused on the presidential campaigns and, unlike the other Schoolhouse Rock songs, only lasted a minute instead of the standard 3. Presidential Minute would also appear on the 2008 DVD Schoolhouse Rock Election Collection, a special collection of songs compiled in honor of the 2008 election. Despite Schoolhouse Rock going off the air, the series lived on through special DVD releases, often featuring a compilation of various songs set to a specific theme. One DVD in particular produced entirely new content. This concept was Earth Rock, focusing on geography. The idea evolved as the idea of climate change and environmental awareness gained more and more traction, resulting in a series more focused on environmentally aware songs. The Earth Rock DVD was released in 2009 and featured the Energy Blues from Science Rock, as well as 12 new songs. These songs saw the return of Bob Dorough, George Newall, Dave Frischberg, Lynn Ahrens, and Jack Sheldon, as well as Tom Yohe Jr., and several performances by celebrities that either have a music career or have been on Broadway. This DVD takes a different approach than previous home installments, as it ditches the video jukebox concept. Instead, each song is introduced via a sketch by 3 polar bears, Bob, Jack, and Lou. Bob and Jack, of course, being voiced by Bob Dorough and Jack Sheldon respectively. 2 songs also feature the return of classic Schoolhouse Rock characters, Interplanet Janet and Mr. Morton, his cat, and his now wife, Pearl. Unfortunately, it would appear that Earth Rocks was the last installment in the Schoolhouse Rock series. The latest development in Schoolhouse Rock is their addition to the Disney Plus streaming service in June of 2020, where the majority of the Schoolhouse Rock library was added. A disclaimer was added to the show's description that stated the show contained outdated cultural depictions. This Disney Plus disclaimer is put on shows or movies that typically feature racist or politically incorrect depictions. Examples of this include the use of the phrase manifest destiny in Elbow Room, a man chasing a woman in the song Fireworks to depict
in the pursuit of happiness,
and a white chubby checker in a noun as a person, place, or thing. This disclaimer was recently removed. The series has proven to be culturally significant, seeing as how the show returned in the 90s and new episodes were created in 2009. This show is often printed on merchandise or parody in one way or another, including parodies on The Simpsons, Family Guy, and even Saturday Night Live. This cultural significance was able to get the 1996 Schoolhouse Rock box set DVD, as well as the 1996 Schoolhouse Rock 4-disc CD soundtrack, added to the National Library of Congress in 2018, where these works will be memorialized for all eternity. The show has even been nominated for Outstanding Children's Informational Programming on the Emmys, and won most of its nominations. Although technically not a part of Schoolhouse Rock, it's worth mentioning the metric marvels. Back in the 1970s, the US government passed the Metric Conversion Act, an attempt to convert the standard measuring system in the United States from imperial to metric. A board was formed, the US Metric Board, and it sponsored Newall and Yohe to create a short series of PSAs on the metric system. The Metric Marvels debuted on ABC's rival network NBC in 1978 and used several of the Schoolhouse Rock talent, including Bob Dorough and Lynn Ahrens. The show even used the same style as Schoolhouse Rock. Unfortunately, the metric system never really caught on in the United States, and the series ended after 7 episodes and lasted only until 1979. Even years after Schoolhouse Rock ended, the creators were recognized in their normal lives. Fans would rush up to them at the grocery store and ask for their autographs. Bob Dorough became an icon of sorts. Dorough continued to play jazz piano throughout the rest of his life, and once he was recognized at a club or a bar for his Schoolhouse Rock work, he had to figure out how to work Schoolhouse Rock into his sets. It became so commonplace that he started including them in his regular lineup. The team stayed in touch over the years, gathering for birthdays and special events. Unfortunately, the majority of the Schoolhouse Rock visionaries have passed. Creator David McCall died in 1999 in a car crash. Producer Tom Yohe passed in the 2000s from pancreatic cancer. Bob Dorough, Jack Sheldon, and Radford Stone have all passed from natural causes. Lynn Ahrens is still alive and has composed music for the Anastasia movie, as well as several theater productions such as Emperor's New Clothes, Rocky, and Seussical. Dave Frischberg continues to write music and play his piano. George Newall claims he invented high karate, an aftershave that launched in the 1960s, was discontinued in the 1980s, and was reintroduced to the UK in 2014. Phil Kimmelman can be found on LinkedIn, and Michael Eisner was the CEO of Disney for some time. As time goes on, Schoolhouse Rock appears more and more forgotten. There aren't even any social media accounts dedicated to the series. There is a fandom wiki, however it is severely disorganized. The characters occasionally appear on merchandise, but that's about it. Despite these shortcomings, Schoolhouse Rock lives on in the hearts of many. Just saying the name is bound to cause a nearby stranger to break into the chorus of Conjunction Junction.